Hi, I'm Todd Ellis with Secure Networkers, and I'm here today to talk to you about passwords. Everybody makes it a big topic. I get all kinds of questions like, hey, is passwords even really needed anymore? Do we even really need to do this? It seems very archaic. And now when you have teams like Microsoft coming in and saying, hey, if you're changing your password every 30 days, it actually is lowering your security score that you have. So, and the reason why are they doing that? Well, number one, they're doing that because what happens to people when they change their password very periodically? Well, they're writing it down because they need to remember it. Once you write it down, now it's laying around. The proverbial yellow sticky note on the back of the monitor. Next thing you know, somebody's sending phony messages across the 911 system saying North Korea is sending nuclear weapons and missiles into Hawaii, and people think they're going to be obliterated within an hour. That's what happened. If you can go back, you can watch the YouTube video. There was a guy being interviewed. He was the head of the 911 system in Hawaii. He had his password on the back of his monitor. Somebody zoomed in, got the password, and sent out the messages. So, passwords on sticky notes, bad thing. Let's don't do that. But let's actually talk about if you have a password, what's a good password, right? Hive Systems did a great analysis, and we'll post the link in the post. But basically, they did an analysis on passwords like complexity, just numbers, just lowercase letters, uppercase, lowercase, just letters only, a mix of uppercase, lowercase, and numeric values, and then of course uppercase, lowercase, letters, numbers, and symbols, and then like the length of the password. It's pretty crazy. Like everything on the number side gets pretty knocked out within seconds, and I think just a few minutes. Even at like 18 characters, it goes pretty fast. Just lowercase, it goes up a little bit, but still it's relatively just a very short amount of time. But then, it kind of hockey sticks in the other direction when you kind of get into the longer password characters. Something happens right around 11, 12 when you get into the complexity standpoint. So if you're doing uppercase, lowercase, numeric, and a symbol, when you get to year 11, it starts to get, I think it's like 34 years, or maybe it's 3,000 years, and then it just starts going into from 3,000 to hundreds of thousands to billions, to millions, to billions, to trillions. When you get to like 18, it's like 460 something trillion years that it would take the current processing to use password breaker like Hashcat to basically brute force the password. So that being said, it's better to have a password fairly complex, and when I'm talking about fairly complex, uppercase, lowercase, numeric values, and symbols, 18 characters or more. It's not happening, right? This is something that you probably need to have. Now, what happens? Number one, you don't want to use the same passwords for all your different platforms that you're logging into, because you don't want them to be able to get your password and now they can run the table on every single thing that you log into. And that's what you want to try to avoid. So how do you do that? Well, you need password management. That gets a little scary too, because now you're trusting an online company to store your passwords. It gets a little difficult out there. So you got to have a lot of common sense. How am I going to approach this? How am I going to do this? Writing it down so I can still physically get access to that. So you're going to have to use some thoughts. There's several different ones that are out there. I'm not going to basically say, hey, I use this particular password management system, because I think that all can be compromised, right? And as they used to say 30 years ago, back when I first got into computing, it's like, hey, everything's got a hack because that's how the light gets in, right? So take that into consideration. If you're using any online or cloud system, make sure you're turning on multi-factor authentication. That's just an easy way to do it. I mean, it's not foolproof, but if you have complex passwords, you have multi-factor. And what I mean by multi-factor is you're using some type of an authenticator system. If it's just 2FA and you're just getting a text message or an email, those are okay, right? But now in the age of cloning phones and hacking phones and getting your email accounts and stuff like that, that makes it a little more difficult. If you have the ability, spend a little more money. Get something like a Duo account. Microsoft has their own authenticator app as well, which I'm not a huge fan of. Google has their own as well. That's pretty decent. The problem is if you lose a device with some of these free services, then you kind of are in big trouble. So Duo is great. It gives you the ability to back up some of these devices, these MFA accounts onto other platforms. So that works pretty well as well. I know I'm kind of bouncing around here, but the idea behind it is keep security at the front of your thinking and when you do things, because now it's just in an age where it's not like, hey Todd, I don't have anything that anybody would want. If they took it, if they take your identity, that's a pretty serious thing. And you should always consider that. It's a huge pain in the butt factor. So you don't want to get involved there. So I know we started out with passwords here, but my idea behind it is you're securing you and who you are and your identity, your banking, your email accounts, your communication, your files, your images. Sometimes people just want to take advantage of you. I mean, encryption software, where you got to have a decrypted thing, that's a real thing now. So I don't care who you are, if you're a business or just a regular user at home. Think password, think security. You can always email us at service@Secure Networkers. You can also reach us at 281-651-2254 or hit us up on the website, securenetworkers.com. Thank you.